because, again, I want people to hear this. I want people to hear this.
What's going on, guys? Tina, I just wanted to check in. Today is Saturday, November the 2nd. I had a conversation with my husband today when he called on one of his calls today. And the conversation we had, he said, I want this information to get out there. So I'm going to share a conversation that we had today. Gives you a chance to actually hear from him. You've been hearing a lot from me. And it gives you a chance to get a sneak peek into what he has been seeing, what's been happening to him, and what he has been seeing happening to others. And as I've shared with you before, I mean, there are so many things that have been eye-opening to me, so many things that someone would say to you, and you would just swear up and down, nah, ain't no way they're doing that. I don't believe that, right? It is not until you experience it for yourself that you see the most heinous things that happen to the most vulnerable populations, be it the elderly in the hospitals, or the elderly in nursing homes, or inmates in correctional facilities. And it's unfortunate because people always assume that if you're behind bars, then you must be guilty. But there are a lot of people behind bars that absolutely should not be. And we have a whole group of people that don't have advocates, that don't have anybody to stand up for what's right, That don't have anybody watching from afar to say, hey, you're violating that person's civil liberties. You're violating the constitutional rights for that person, right? This conversation with my husband is one that I want to share with you, and he encouraged me to put it out there, and that is what I'm doing. So this is our conversation for today. I'm going to share that audio with you. When we talked, I told him I was just going to give him the floor to let him freely talk, and this is pretty much what he did. So you guys, this is my husband. Let's go.
In our correctional institution. This call is not private. It will be recorded and made now.
I'm here.
Just make sure you're recording this call, but this whole environment, man, is so evil and corrosive. It's just the shit it started happening like at 3 weeks, where again I was able to not eat the food and stuff up until then, which of course I guess they thought I was crazy, but I noticed it wasn't any good because it's got all the hell knows in it. Way too much sugar, way too much salt, way too much processed, way too much salt.
Because is it like the same thing they give y'all every day?
It's the same fucking, and then it's worse over here because there's no natural anything. They, at least as in Bridgeport, at least they would give you like bananas and apples and shit. This place is, man, this place is like, it gets the worst end of everything.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Inside of y'all's commissary, do they have like other types of foods in there?
They have cakes and candies and Pop-Tarts.
So you can't even get fruit from the commissary.
All garbage shit. It's all garbage shit. And it's done that way on purpose to rot you from the inside, which is what's the problem. What's happening is they're rotting my ass. You know damn well. I haven't been like this because of, the gastro. I finally got on a path that was good for that. But in here, man, let me tell you something. Just because I didn't want them sticking me with any of these zombie drugs that they're putting inside everybody else around here, I've had to just stuff out 2 pain sessions.
Got you.
Because I had to test, it's like that was my point. At 3 weeks, I had to start giving in and eating this garbage. And that's when it started, where I started feeling the difference. They don't, like, there's garbage poison in everything. You're talking about, they purposely give these guys, what the shameful part is? It's the same thing they give our kids on when you're on meals at school, in public schools. It's the same garbage, man. So it's like they're starting them off from scratch. And when I mean garbage, I mean, and like I said, if you play these tapes for anyone, which is fine, please do. because the downfall is here. This shit has gotten inside me, and don't get me wrong, I'm obviously not incoherent quite yet, but I'm disheartened and beat down such that, and then yesterday was a perfect example. Remember the phone shut off the day before, right? And I couldn't get the call out.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, the bottom line is I'm having a hard time, man. I was having it at 2 weeks as a given because for something that you're totally innocent in, man. Dude, this is a no. I'm military and I'm law enforcement. 80% of the country is adhering to the Second Amendment constitutional rights, and you got 20%, maybe 15% holdouts, and they're just like, well, this is like, there's something, you're evil. You're doing this because you're evil. And because, again, everything they're doing is tyrannical in every sense of the word. The fact that you keep people out of communication with not only their loved ones, but they actually go through and actually take people's writings and notes and stuff that they have, like during like room searches. You're talking about the civil freaking stepping all over everybody's civil liberties, constitutional rights in here like they don't have none. When you're talking about you're searching people's rooms and they don't even have a prisoner advocate, walking around with them, which means, again, if they plant something or put something in the room on you and they pull it out just like they did in the search with the truck, and they just pull it out, they leave you at a point where it's like, now you're having to defend yourself as opposed to, hey, that's not fine. What are you talking about? Where do you think it came from? And then it's like, you can't even prove the opposite. You see what I'm saying? Right. That's how this whole thing has been. And you're talking about, when you're talking about the paneling is such that you ain't even got to be there. We're going to panel you anyway. Which means even if you don't defend yourself, you're still guilty. And you know what we're going to do? When we find that you're guilty after this panel, that's the easiest way to say it. What are we going to do? We're going to involuntarily stick this needle in your ass with something that you don't know what it is, and we may or may not tell you. We don't have to. Saying this, I don't care. Just use this as a piece in which you just put on there, and then this is our conversation, and this is what he's saying. Because you're talking about with that, then they're forcing the guys 3 times a day. Not all of them have the same medication cycle or schedule, but the point is the fact that you rolling around with this cart, and or you come into the window like this is a bar. And that call, it sounds like they're saying last call for alcohol, the way everybody has to run over to the goddamn cart or the window to get their meds. And then your meds, who knows what's mixing in that shit? They can stamp whatever fatal or name on pills, and you have no idea. Dude, you need to come up with some kind of system of auditing. And don't get me wrong. The auditors are supposed to be the FBI, but they're not doing their job. Period. They're not doing it. And nobody gives up the prisoners because they just assume everybody is in here is guilty, as opposed to, say, somebody in my situation. Because then think about it. You couldn't determine that I was a mental health issue. You know why? Because I'm not. The people I've gone out of my way above and beyond to make sure that I talk to everybody in here and they can hear my conversation, and they're just like, can't understand why I'm here, which is why they had such a problem trying to get over on the paneling thing, because everybody knows it. Everybody knows this is a lie. This is a goddamn mental health hit job. I'm so pissed And I'm so tired. And because now what they're doing is they're beating me the other way with the nasty ass foods. I'm talking about loads and loads and loads, and then they give you these handful of sugar packets on top of Fruity Pebbles this morning. Then they're giving you can tell where the poison is, and I'm gonna tell you how you can tell where the poison is, because they give you ample amounts of it. That pasteurized soy milk with DHT in it 3 times a day, and they give you 2 of them. Those same ones they give the kids, they give you 2 of those. Oh, there's nothing. The test results have said that the bioengineered milk that contains the DHT is no different than normal milk. Why are you bothering to say that if it's the same?
Right.
No, this shit is bullshit. And they need to have some auditors come through here. And it's so evil and so illegal on so many levels. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. How the big pharma has gotten away with this, and how they're racketeering and in collusion with the Department of Corrections. Because again, you got to understand, the state and the federal government are paying to subsidize all of these drugs, which means what you're doing is you're stealing out of the tax coffers that come from the citizens, whether it's the citizens at the local level, it's the citizens at the state level, or it's the citizens at the freaking federal level, around the country. This is still theft all the way around. Please put this on this recording, and please put the please, when I say please in here, on the internet so they can hear what is going on, because this is heinous. What they're doing is heinous, and it doesn't make it any better. Or
you have 1 minute left.
This doesn't make it any better. I'll call back after this. This doesn't make it any better that I'm exempt because what they say, oh, Major he has a complicated situation. Oh, no, he doesn't have a complicated situation. You guys are trying to hold me hostage and do a hit job on somebody that's a political prisoner, not a criminal. This is evil and it's heinous, and somebody needs to do something.
Refuse this pre-call, press 2. If you would like to patient now.
I'm here.
Hey, now to start this from the standpoint of how they're doing it from, again, the police side of this, evil, because again, what they started off doing was the fact that they can suppress the exculpatory information or evidence and just not show anybody or not give it to anybody, even officials that may be requesting it. They're just slow walking. We know damn well that had IBM actually had a weapon and been brandishing it at anyone in any threatening manner at a damn hospital, they would have had that on the news in an hour, period. But the fact that I went to the police station once I crossed over the jurisdiction, even though I wanted to go to my dad first, you're telling me I still went to the police station as a professional courtesy, as a protocol to protect me just from things just like this. And they still were able to do it. They still were able to hold the information down from anyone. When you're talking about, especially, I went into the police station, you're talking about, I guarantee you, they have that on video, me handing my IDs and permits and stuff to McAllister. And then they would have seen me talk to 3 other officers on, whether it's on my way in or on my way out. And all of them, nobody said anything was wrong. Why? Because they acknowledged me as law enforcement. They knew I was. It's funny how they're holding me in here for over a damn month now, and you're talking about nobody has said, oh, well, he's not law enforcement. You see what I'm saying? That in and of itself is evil. Nobody has contested that. Nobody has said that. Nobody has said, oh, well, we don't acknowledge that he's not law enforcement. Oh, we don't acknowledge that he's not military. We don't, acknowledge that, hey, the only thing they're not acknowledging is the main thing, which is the fact that he came to us first. First. Once he crossed over the jurisdictional lines, he came to us first to get legal guidance. And if he was out of compliance, it should have been at that point, whether even if it was a minor, hey, man, check this, minor tap on the shoulder and been like, hey, man, just do us a favor, man. When you go over to see your dad and make sure he's okay, hey, stow your gear some way, man. Make sure you already acknowledged that I was law enforcement. You knew that. So if you knew I was law enforcement, why did you come up there like it was a 10 high? They didn't handle any of that correctly. Conversation, when you saw me, as soon as you saw me, I guarantee we already know two of the first ones that responded saw me because two of them talked to me at the police station. We already know this, okay? That is a flat out fact. Please make sure you friggin' put these online. It's a flat out fact that two of the police officers that were the first the first of the four that responded up there were two of the officers that even spoke to me at the police station, saw me give my IDs and permits or whatever to McAllister, and then watched him say, hey, good luck with your dad over there at the hospital. And then when I was walking out, I spoke again to both of them. That would be on the cameras. The fact that they're able to suppress that critical, and I'm talking about critical, exculpatory evidence that would have me out of here in 5 minutes is criminal. It's criminal. The fact that they're able to get away with this. Okay, and then not just get away with it because they know they're wrong. They don't want to go. They don't want to go to damn trial with this. They already know they're going to get crucified because, again, once everybody sees that he came to the police station first, he came to you for the legal guidance and to poke his head in because he crossed over jurisdictions to check in with you, this is a wrap. And they know it. That is why they've been trying to find some way to damn sustain and hold up this mental health narrative that, oh, he's crazy. That's why he came in. It doesn't even make sense. What exactly are you guys doing?
Exactly. And
what are you doing?
You took the time to sign in at the visitor's desk, have your picture taken and all that, and then go upstairs.
Thank you. Thank you. And you can see through that whole thing, that's the information. And like I said, that's the video evidence that they're suppressing even till now. Why is that? The first thing, and anybody is a first-year investigator, and I am well beyond a first-year investigator in any sense. Damn, after 35 years, you're telling me that you couldn't damn figure out, oh my gosh, even in the first officer's statement, Nuceris, he was just like, are you armed? But the fact that he had to ask lets you know that I was not openly, okay? Which meant that there was no threat here. And it's funny how they're hiding the videos according to prior, like what you just said, when I walked in. Nobody had any problems. Gave him his ID, got on the elevator, even talked to the security guy in the damn lobby, got on the elevator, came up, was standing there, got in the door. We're talking about what? We weren't even there 5 minutes before somebody's crying because we asked for a doctor. Are you kidding me? And luckily enough, you have that on audio too. Close this case immediately. And then even if you wanted to ignore that, oh, okay, let's just ignore that for a second. When you're talking about by the time the police came, there was no chaos. There was no threats. There was no brandishing weapons all over the thing, which again, if they hadn't have been the entrapment situation and then trying to press this as if, oh gosh, he was a threat to everybody, and then doing an illegal search and seizure of the truck, again, the other stuff wouldn't have even been an issue if I went there with what? Well, gee, go back and look at the videos. There was no commotion. There was no threats. There was no running around. Hell, he was even personable talking to the nurses, the other nurses on the floor, trying to get somebody to help us as a family find a doctor. Mm-hmm. And all of this is on audio. And then, after the commotion, because the commotion didn't happen until the police came there, it didn't have to happen because not one person up there in their interviews or investigations said, hey, he threatened me.
The security guard said, no, he didn't threaten me, like both of them. You know, when I heard it on the tape, they both said, nah, he didn't threaten me or anything like that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, he did not. Mm-hmm. So again, how is it that you came up here, you went to this level with a guy who came to you guys first? And let's just be honest. 2, if not 3 of you, of the first 4 people showing up, saw me and interacted with me at the police station. So how did you even get to this? It just doesn't make sense. Actually acted in any way that was threatening or in some capacity trying to intimidate. I was not. You can even watch that on the videos that they're trying to suppress, that I was not doing that. And it was huge that, again, this commotion did not start until they came up here.
They brought the commotion. Everything was fine.
Thank you.
We was fine. We just wanted a doctor and everything. And I'm telling you, this hospital did not like that we was asking questions, because even after you was gone to jail, I was there. I was asking questions when I went to go see Dad. I was there asking questions, and they did not like it. They even made me feel like I couldn't go back to the hospital because somebody came around that morning I was leaving the hospital and put my name on the index card. They was doing all this weird shit, making me feel like I couldn't even see Dad. So they tried to separate the kids from the elderly parents so they could continue to run over them.
So let me touch on that for a minute. And I apologize that my side of the audio is low. It's just the way our recording software kind of works. But just to touch on what I was saying to him, and when we were talking about how, you know, the only ones that were really starting a commotion were the cops. Everything was quiet on the home front and we were fine. We just wanted to get answers that we were being ignored on. We were trying to get a doctor and nobody wanted to give us what we were asking for. So as a family, we could figure out what was going on with Dad and what we need to do from that point, right? So to touch on what I was saying, after my husband had gone off to jail September 28th and I bonded him out and all of that, I went, just me and Mom. He did not go back to the hospital. We felt it was best that we just, you know, he just stay at home, and that's what he did. Nobody even told him he couldn't come back. He just decided on his own, I'll just leave it alone. I'll stay at home and let you and Mom, you know, sort out going to see Dad and take care of him. And so on Sunday, when I went to the hospital, I went with Mom to go see Dad. We drove separate vehicles because I wanted to hang out a little bit longer. I knew Mom was tired, so she hung out a couple of hours and she went back home. And I stayed with Dad. We watched the movie. I think we watched Frozen and just kind of hung out, right? When I left that evening on Sunday, I was asking questions. I wanted to ask questions. I need to document. I need to know who's who. So I was asking questions. Okay, who was the nurse again that was there that day? Tell me about your security, right? And I actually had it on audio where I was asking these questions. That's a whole nother video. And of course, they were very uncomfortable and they didn't like that I was asking questions, right? But if I'm there to advocate for my father, I'm there to document the incident that happened, especially the way that you guys handled everything, right? So I have the right to ask questions, right? So that's what I was doing. And they definitely did not like that at all. So when I left that night, I came back the next day because when I was there that night, I had talked to Dad and he said the night shift was really rough. Right. So I said, Dad, don't worry. Monday night, it's going to be me and you. I'm going to come spend the night with you. And that's what I did. So when I came back Monday night, I spent the night with Dad. Just so happens they put a really great nurse on duty when I came that night. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did that because they knew, oh, he's got a family member there with him tonight. We better give him the best nurse. Right. That's what it felt like they did. And And this was the night that when I got there, my dad had a really scary incident that could have ended up badly, or whatnot. And I asked the nurses about it and everything, and it was a scary moment, right? Just another thing that they did that just wasn't right. There's a lot of things they did as far as my father's care that just was not right, okay? And this was one of them. But anyway, I spent the night that night, and as the night went on, it was I was there with the nurse who was really attentive. He did a really good job, really good nurse. He was really patient with my father. He was awesome. So I just kind of stayed the night with my dad, watching over him, paying attention to the nurses, so on and so forth. I didn't sleep a wink that night. But that morning, as I'm getting up, it's about 6 a.m. The morning, the doctors started to come in and do their morning rounds, right? So I'm talking to each doctor. There was at least 5 or 6 different doctors that came in doing their morning rounds. I'm talking to each one of them. I'm taking down names. I'm hearing what they're saying as far as my dad's care goes and everything, right? And so as I'm sitting there, and people are coming in and out, I had a brief period where it was just me and dad. Dad was resting. I was sitting over on my makeshift bed. I was kind of chilling. It was about between 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. And I noticed a security guard, a heavily armed security guard, comes by the door because we had the door cracked. She comes by the door and she looks in there. Like, it was weird, a way almost like she was told, go look in there and see who's in there, right? So she's looking in the door, and I noticed it was just odd, right? So maybe about 30 minutes after that, this woman comes in and she presents herself as being by the name of Dr. Alice. And she's got a note card and she's writing on it, right? So she comes to me and she writes my name down on a note card. And she's like, oh, I'm just getting the people that are coming to visit, blah, blah, blah. The way that she did it, it did not sit right in my spirit. And I'm really good about, feeling like energies and feeling like, when things are off and all this. And it was something off about why she did. I was like, why would she put my name on an index card? It was weird. And so I kind of sat with dad because I wanted to see who the next nurse was going to be or whatever. So I could take the name of that person, ask my dad, is that a good nurse, bad nurse? Just get some information. So turns out the nurse that was coming on to the morning shift, it was a nurse that he really liked. And he said, no, she really cool. She takes care of me. Okay, good. Now I'm comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and leave. So as I'm leaving or whatever, I just noticed there's a big, heavy security presence there, right? And so this is the same morning, the same day that they came and took my husband on the second arrest. And after they had carted him off to jail, my dad said, after you left, he said, some cops came by here looking for you, right? And then later he was like, you know what? I need you to really, be available to help my son. He said, I don't even know if I feel comfortable with you coming back because of the way they're acting around the hospital. And so that's what I was talking about just now in this audio with my husband, because he didn't really know that part because he had already been taken to jail the second time. They made me feel really extremely uncomfortable, like it wasn't even safe for me to come back to the hospital and help mom with dad, which was really unfortunate. The whole reason why we came here was to help our parents out, right? They were struggling with that hospital. And what they did is very much like what an abuser or a predator does, right? When they separate you from your family. And that's exactly what they did. Me and my husband came here asking questions. My husband wanted a doctor. He wanted to know what was going on with his dad. They created all this drama and they removed him from the picture, right? So then that just left me and mom, right? I went in there also. I was asking questions. I wanted to know what's going on with dad. Who's this, that, and the third, right? Same thing. They also removed me from the picture by making me feel as though I can't even go in there to see my dad. So what do? They removed the 2 people that they saw as a threat to what they were doing, which was mistreating our elderly parents and taking advantage of them at this hospital. Once they got us out of the picture, they could go back to doing what they were doing, which was running over our elderly parents. That is what they did. And that's what I brought up in the audio just now, is what I was kind of telling my husband. And there's still so many things he doesn't know that they did that I'm going to have to talk about. So let's continue.
Thank you. That is exactly. And then, like I said, to add to that, where is the video when they moved Dad to a separate room after the son was removed?
You don't even know. It's so much stuff they did after that made them look bad.
So let me touch on that. So after the incident that occurred on Saturday, when the cops came and they arrested my husband the first time and took him off, all the staff at the hospital, all of a sudden they started to care about what my parents wanted. And they were like, what do you need to be comfortable? What do you need this? They were doing none of this before, right? So mind you, dad was strapped to the hospital bed, right? So one of the things my dad wanted was, he said, I want to be loosed from this bed. I want you to unstrap me from this bed so that I can move, and I want a new room. And those are the two things I know he asked about. He probably asked about some other stuff, but those are the main two, right? And so people are saying, well, I've heard some of the comments, you don't know why he was strapped down. Sometimes they do it for XYZ. That's all well and good. But why is it that when he said, you know what, I want to be loose from this bed, I want to be unstrapped so I can move around. If he was strapped for his safety, tell me why they went ahead and they unstrapped him from the bed. After we came asking questions, they loosed him from that bed. They unstrapped his arms away from that bed so that he could move around. They accommodated him. Why didn't they accommodate him before? Right? Then they moved him. He said, I really want to move to another room. I want to do this. They moved him to another room. So they started doing all of these things, right? Because they knew they was in the wrong. And so now all of a sudden they want to look like somebody that cares. And they hadn't been caring about my mom and dad for the couple of weeks they've been in ICU. Oh, now all of a sudden you want to be accommodating.
Please go into it.
Discharged dad before he was ready. That's another story I have to tell you about. And
please go into that, because what I want you to do is I want you to take these straight off of the phone and put them on the online.
To register this number as a private number for you.
I want you to have this to put online as is. No. I want this to go on now.
Okay.
I want them to hear what is going on right up under their noses in America. And this is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave.
Right.
This is not.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken our Constitution for the United States of America, and they have wiped their asses with it. Like it's no more important than toilet paper with shit on it. And please leave that in there, because I want people to hear this. And if it hurts their little sensibilities, then fine, so be it. But this is heinous. This is evil, what they're doing from top to bottom. You want me to go into the legal aspects of this from the start, where you're talking about you can't even talk to family members you're talking about, I got to come into court and I see you and my mom back here, and you guys don't even give me the courtesy of allowing me after they've seen me, and I haven't seen them in weeks, and I can't even speak to them.
Right.
I have to speak to some crap ass sock puppet attorney. Are you crazy? The lack of family respect, the lack of respect that these people have from top to bottom for our constitutional rights, they crapped all over that. You're talking about even if you tried to suppress me talking to my family, who's about what? 20 feet away from me, watching this whole crap show, because the very thing that we talked about with the lawyer, he just threw all of that out.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do none of that. How you said, keep it in, clip it out. Truthfully, at this point, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, because now you're talking about this is into another week. This is this is a month.
Yeah.
You telling me that I've been on the conversation, I've met with umpteen damn psychologists and damn counselors, and all of them have denied he has a mental disability or he has a mental problem. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk, what you got, cameras up here that don't work? You can look at any of the cameras and see, and since I've been in here at any time, and he does not sound, he does not look, he does not have the presence of somebody who's a criminal, let alone somebody who is, again, they're trying to build and justify this narrative that he has a mental health problem. This is evil, and if they can do it to somebody that's in law enforcement, whatever my capacity is, they can do this to anyone, and they will do this to anyone. The only thing that changes in my situation that they did not expect, that I was one of the law enforcement people from the beginning of life who has never drank, never smoked, and never done drugs. Not one goddamn day in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. which hung them up because they couldn't explain that. They're like, oh, wait, he had never? So much, in fact, that you had to x-ray my insides to make sure that I was telling the truth and take my blood? Dude, let me tell you something. This is evil. These people, this system, and I don't want to say everybody in it because I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, what I think happened here at this mental health facility, I think command, whether it was Maldonado or LaRue or whoever, I don't think they were fully aware. Mm-hmm. I think that Stanford police and the hospital pushed this, threw me in the system to try and bake up and build up using Cartwright's referral to try and build a mental health narrative based on bogus stuff. And then when they were trying to force feed me those drugs, and I refused to, that messed up their whole program.
No, I definitely agree that the hospital, between Stanford Hospital and the Stanford City Police, they were definitely complicit in what's happened.
Thank you. From top to bottom.
You didn't hear what I said. We talked about how so many different people are complicit in this. Like the Stanford Hospital is complicit with the district attorney and the judge, and even our own attorney, we suspect as well, judging by how the things are going. So you got the Stanford Hospital, the Stanford City Police, the Superior Court judge, and the district attorney, all complicit in what is going on. And they're all in on, trying to railroad us at this point, right? So that's kind of what I was talking about in the audio. If you couldn't hear me clearly, let's continue.
You can go ahead and throw in Connecticut Department of Corrections as well.
In conjunction with this district attorney.
Thank you.
And the judge.
Because again, oh yeah, no, absolutely. Because you're talking about, again, in a situation in which I've talked to multiple people, top to bottom, and not one of you can interview any of the people along the way, and they'll be like, no, he was nothing but courteous and enigmatic when he was talking to us, So no, he wasn't irrational. Yes, he was a little upset because of the situation. But they act like you're not supposed to. Like, dude, and then is everybody forgetting the fact that I'm 55 and I've never been incarcerated? Never?
Yeah, thank you.
Ever. Are you telling me I went through 3 freaking wars and I'm here and I'm doing law enforcement and it's on my record for me having been law enforcement even 35 years ago when I saved that kid at Morehouse against the guys who had the knives, probably were going to kill him that night, and you're telling me that you cannot figure out in 5 seconds that he is not a mental health patient and he does not need to be here? No, man. Everybody in this is complicit. Yeah. And I do believe that, once the people, like even the people on the panel, the doctors on the panel, Brooke and I don't know what the rest of them were, okay? I believe that they heard my test, when we were having the Q&A, and what they did was they were like, whoa, wait a minute. This don't sound like anybody who has a mental. He doesn't sound bipolar, and he doesn't sound like he's disconnected from the reality of the world and where he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they were trying to play up.
Exactly.
And then you know what else? When it didn't look like that and it didn't sound like that to them, they were like, "Whoa, hold on, we need to stop this right now." That's what they did. Because now, let's just be honest, that's another damn piece of evidence that's exculpatory leaning in my direction. Now tell me, why do you still have him in, so you can't, at least the bond that everybody seems to have stolen from my family, which we didn't have the money to do that in the first place, and you telling me just does it, and paying for a lawyer that's a sock puppet? I'm sorry, dang, where are we? What country? Let me tell you something. Bill already knows that. Because let me tell you, when we first talked, again, I was like, and this is how you know. I told him exactly which videos he should have had. Yeah. And he'll probably lie about that, but please tell him not to, because you know what? that's on audio too, even if it is at the other jail.
Right.
In which I told him, dude, get this video, this video, this video. I'm like, dude, how are you calling me? How are you defending me? Giving me 100%. If you don't have what you need, and think about that.
I put an audio where I asked him, I said, where's his other footage? And he sat there looking like a damn dope. I'm like, dude, well, I'm thinking, why the fuck you have the obvious footage of what happened before the police showed up? That's the most important thing, right?
So let me touch on that piece that I'm saying in case you can't hear me. So Wednesday last week, I went over to the attorney's office to decipher the footage that they had. He led me to believe that he had all the footage, right? So I get over there and the only footage he has is the police cam footage, which would be the footage after they showed up at the hospital. He did not gather the footage from the actual hospital, from the actual hospital cams that show us showing up to the hospital before the cops came. He did not gather the footage from the actual police precinct when my husband went and he met specifically with an officer who looked through all of his IDs and saw his whole uniform and everything that he had on and all the officers that he walked past in going in and leaving, and just that whole scene. He didn't have any of the footage of what happened leading up to the cops getting there. And so I asked him, I said, why don't we have that? And the attorney just looked at me like a damn dumbass. He's like, well, I didn't ask for it. I'm like, why didn't you ask for it? I would curse him out across from that conference table, because there's no way that you could be a criminal attorney defending your client. And if you're really trying to defend them, you're going to turn over every rock you possibly can to get as much information as you possibly can to defend your client. And he is not doing that. So that is what I brought up in the audio. Let's continue.
Thank you. Which is, again, the video that'll say, hey, you know what? Why is he even in jail? You basically gave him the white, the green flag to like, oh yeah, go on, man, you're good. Yeah. And then again, once you get over here into, and I'm not even talking about just the mental health facility, which they cover it up. Oh, this is just, we're helping them rehabilitate. No, you're not helping anybody rehabilitate.
Yeah, their little drug operation they running inside the.
Thank you. The drug operation that they are running and siphoning from not only the residents, citizens of Connecticut, but you're talking about the country as a whole. With what you're doing here, this is heinous and it's evil. And you're talking about when I started my career in the military, that's what we were fighting. We were fighting a drug war in the 80s. Yeah. And to lead to this, and hell, we're talking about fighting a drug war. The drug war did nothing but change damn venues.
Thank you.
We're talking about they're hiding it. They are insidiously hiding it in plain sight. And the plain sight is here in the jails with a captured clientele who can't even say no to the drugs. I'm telling you, the way these guys walk around, you can tell that their mentals are fractured. Our minds are nothing but computers. And you're telling me that the guys, it's like they're walking around desynced all day. Where it's just like, I told you, this is so evil on another level. And the fact that to keep them in this, and don't let me get into the cries that I've heard from multiple guys at this point, that they don't want to take the drugs. They're not taking the drugs. And you're telling me when a guy cries out and says, hey, he doesn't want to take the drugs, they make him sick. They're making him sick. They're making him worse. You're telling me that you can't give that guy a damn 6-hour pause before you come back and try. No, what they do is they run in here with the the COs, the corrections officers. They'll strap his ass down, and the nurse will call it pinning them in the ass, because you're going to take it regardless. Evil. Whenever somebody is like that, why can't you give them a pass, give them a pause for some amount of time and let them come down before even trying? You know what? Hey, you know what? Maybe he really doesn't need it. Maybe we'll try that. I haven't heard from anybody in here that they ever go down on dosages. They only go up on dosages.
You have 1 minute left.
How the hell are you doing that? Of course, I won't call that until later. Okay. But you clip all of these, you put them on. I don't care if they're raw and uncensored, but you put them on there. Yeah, because this is wrong. This is evil, and this is not America. This is not America. This isn't what we fought for, man. This isn't. We the people of the United States of America. This is not what this is. This is wrong. This is evil on so many levels, and nobody is doing anything about it. This is wrong. This is wrong. It's wrong. This is not America.
So yeah, guys, that was my husband giving you his take on everything that our family has went through. From, us coming here to advocate for that in the hospital, to him being arrested, to what he's actually has witnessed and experienced being at the correctional facility. All of the atrocities that are going on is what you heard us talk about. And it's crazy. Here it is. You can hear him. He's a man that fought for his country. He's a man that when he joined the military, you actually thought you were going to do something great. You're going to, fight for your country, and that's the time that he joined, during that time where it was like a heroic and very patriotic thing to go and join your military and fight for your country. And here he is today. He's seeing that the America that he fought for doesn't look like the America that he was fighting for, right? And just very disheartening that, you come to realize these hard truths about how evil things are happening right up under our noses, and the powers that be in these government positions will try to paint it like it's something totally okay and normal. When you peel the cover back, it is very evil and sadistic, many of the things that are happening in our country. And so that's kind of what he was talking about there. And I just kind of want to share that with you, give you the ability to hear from my husband. You've been hearing a lot from me, and now you can kind of, put a voice to, the person I've been talking about all this time that should not be behind bars. He is someone that is actually someone that gives to society, someone that gives to community, someone that loves his family, someone that, really does love this country, which is why he even went into the military in the first place, which is why a lot of guys ended up going into the military, right? And yet here we are, going through what we're going through, and no one should ever have to go through what we are going through just because they want to come and advocate for their father, or advocate for a loved one, in the hospital or whatever, right? And like I said, and I'll say it again, Stanford Hospital, they really did do what an abuser or a predator does when they separate their prey from their family. And that is what they did. And when I was speaking to my husband on the audio, and I was telling him there's so many other things he doesn't know about, and I'm going to go ahead and say this now, this hospital tried to very sneakily, they tried to discharge our father before he was ready. And it came from the administration side. They were not even communicating with the doctors, and they became very aggressive, pushy, and basically trying to bully my mom into making a rush decision on a short-term rehab facility. My dad had just gotten off his feeding tubes. He wasn't even holding his food down yet. He was still trying to learn how to eat solid foods again, right? And they were trying to push him out the door. And I have recorded phone conversations where these people on the administrative side of the hospital, they were blowing up mom's phone. And she was under so much pressure. They were stressing her out. They were really pushing her to make a rash decision for a short-term rehab facility so they could boot dad out of that hospital and discharge him before he was ready. And I said to my mom, do not let them bully you. Do not let them bully you. You have a say in this. Do not let them bully you into making a quick decision. And I told her over and over again, I said, 2 things I know to be true. 1, they cannot throw dad out in the street. And 2, they cannot choose a rehab facility for you. You have to do it. So do not allow them to bully you. So that day when she went to the hospital and she started to push back on them, and she asked for the doctors, and the doctors came in, and you know what the doctor said? The doctor said, whoa, nobody said anything. Nobody communicated with us that they were planning on discharging your dad. And they wanted to discharge him that exact same day. And the doctors was like, no, he's nowhere ready to be discharged yet. We're at least about another week out. We're still trying to get his food under control. No, there's no way he's going to be ready to be discharged today. And that's what they said, right? So they were pushing to discharge him that day before he was ready, right? Before he was ready, they were ready to throw him out of that hospital. This is the same hospital that before me and my husband came up, they were telling mom and dad, this is going to be a long road to recovery, a long road to recovery. Oh, it's going to be a long road. I don't know how long it's going to be. You could be in here for months, is what they were telling him. Why? Because they were sucking up that Medicare. Right. But the minute the kids came up here and we started asking questions, they started speeding up the timeline. Right. They started speeding up the timeline. They went from, oh, it's a long road to, oh, it's time to get you up out of here. Time to get you up out of here. Right. It's crazy. Time to get you up out of here. They was about sounding like that security guard that was trying to boot us out of the hospital. Right. And so this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. A terrible, terrible hospital. And when we were questioning them on their care and wanting to ask questions they didn't want to answer, they retaliated against us by locking my husband up and intimidating me to the point that I couldn't even come to the hospital as well. They are a predator and abuser that separated their prey from their family. I'm going to end this video right here. I just wanted to share this with you. My husband definitely wanted me to get that out there, and you had a chance to hear from him. And he pretty much reiterated plenty of the things you have heard from me. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one as I get another update. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.